Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Usma Parang Sapariprajavacharya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna and welcome to all the devotees online. Thank you very much for your association to regularly and constantly, weekly associate with Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we're covering chapter 8, Canto 1, chapter 8, verses 29 to 31, the prayers of Queen Kunti and Parikshit saved. Om Jnanatimi Vandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Bhupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Piyusha Sarva Vedeka Satvala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokai Triprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidando Didaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prawn transfer fruit of all the Vedas, O you enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you who grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshasharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you one attains transcendental bliss. For your syllables rain pure love, God upon the reader. You are always to be served by everyone, for you are incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madeka Bandhu Mat Sangim Mad Guru Mad Mahadana Man Nishtaraka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam. O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer respectful obeisances to you. Asadu sadhu tadahin atini chochataraka hanamunchakada chinmam premna hritkatayospura. O Srimad Bhagavatam. O give us saintliness to the unsaintly. O uplift to the very fallen. Please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest in my heart and my throat. Accompany me, love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yatanvayaditarata Charte Swabhigna Swarat Tene Brahma Hidaya Dikavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Tisagom Risha Damna Svena Sada Nirastakuakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, all pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance to you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he's the absolute truth, the primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, instructions of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he's independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed in delusion as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water seen in fire, land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universe is temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, because Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in transcendental abode, which is forever free from illusory representation of the material world, I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Prayanopasha Sabya Kalavasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Padrita. All learned ones in age of Kali many but short lives, are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all always disturbed. Narayam Namaskritya Narachevam Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest. one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of God and Narayana. Let Narayana, which is the supermost human being, and the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and the Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Savai pumsa paro dharmo yatho bhaktira dakshaja hoitikiya prati ataya atma suprasiditi. The supreme occupation dharma of all humanity is that by which man can attain loving devotional service under the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyu Savairagyam Jnanam Chaya Rahitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of God, Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causes of knowledge and detachment from the world. Vadanti tattva vidas tattam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Learned transcendentals who know the absolute truth, called as non-dual substance, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Shri Shristoshradanasya Vasudeva Katarachesyan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees are completely free from all vice. Great service done by such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Riddhatya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of truthful devotee, cleanses desire from material enjoyment from the heart of the devotees, develop the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous and properly heard and chanted. Nastapashu Badreshu Nitam Bhagavata Seva Bhagavati Tapasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. By regular tense and a class in the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service, pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. In loving service under the personality of God, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna and welcome again. Let us cover some feedback. Canto 1, Chapter 8, verses 26 to 28. What you took home from last week's lesson, what caught your attention, what you found interesting, what you found wow, what you feel that you need to really take and imbibe practically in your spiritual life. Please share with us what you took home from last week's session. Madhachana Siddhi says, security of this material world is absolute danger. The material opulences that we received is only for the pleasure of serving Krishna. If we use it otherwise, we will be trapped and driven away from Krishna consciousness. Very, very true. The Durashraya, the material world, is giving us many opportunities and many options of false shelters. And the reason our shelter for Krishna, the desire, the intention, the aspiration to have Krishna as the shelter weakens, and our love weakens because we are now taking shelter of bad shelters for Durashraya. It's not wrong to take shelter of things in the material world. And we gave the example of how Prabhupada also locked certain of his valuables, which means it seems like he's taking shelter of lock and key, Durashraya, but he's taking shelter of lock and key with perfect allegiance and perfect alignment, understanding Krishna is the ultimate protector. And as a servant of Krishna, I need to not engage Krishna in my protection and my service, but I should do whatever is amidst my facility and within my influence to try and protect Krishna's valuables. And if I do my best according to my intellectual ability, according to my financial ability, according to the resources I have, then leave the rest to Krishna with that understanding that is perfect. Most people surrender to material shelters minus Krishna. And that is absolutely dangerous for spiritual practitioners. Amavati Radhika says, nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Guru Mahachila Prabhupada and Radha and Krishna. Yes, including this body belongs to Krishna. Your intelligence belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, one who understands that I have nothing, I myself belong to Krishna, and everything I have belongs to Krishna. Therefore, the rightful position of myself, my apparent abilities, everything belongs to Krishna. My resources, everything belongs to Krishna, and therefore is meant for his pleasure, to be used for his pleasure. Nalini Canto says, the secret treasure house is the lotus feet of Krishna. And that those lotus feet we get through the lotus feet of the pure devotees. Shamananda Prabhu says, Krishna as color governs everything and everyone. So Krishna has appeared in this world as time. People say, I don't surrender to God. Yes, you do. People say, I don't believe in God. Yes, you do. People say, I don't know God. Yes, you do. How do they know God? They know God in the form of time. Everybody has a watch. Everybody looks at time. Everybody is governed by time. Everybody knows time is ticking. So in essence, everybody knows God. Now, as devotees, we also know Krishna as Kala, Krishna as God, but we're not interested in Krishna as time. That's boring. We want to exchange love. That's more exciting. That's dynamic. That's ecstatic. Just knowing Krishna is time is static. Knowing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, now that's getting a little more exciting than knowing Krishna as time. Because now you know Krishna as a person, you can reciprocate with him. And today we're going to cover how to even go beyond that. Amabhad Radhika says, we like the story of Pundrik Vidyanini, Sananda Goswami, and Dhanudas, and Hemamda. Very inspiring, instructive. Yes. Thank you very much for all your feedback. It's important that as we go through the Bhagavatam, as we go through these sessions, that we have a notepad, write down something, and remember, even if it's 1 point from each session, you grow. Hearing is good, but we want to really hear and allow Prabhupada's instructions to go deep in our heart. And for you to bring things, or rather to develop spiritually, it's very important that we develop the ability to recollect, to repeat, to bring out. So if I hear something and I'll be able to retain something, most people, they say, like 20% I retain something just by hearing. But if I start to contemplate and bring it out in terms of in my own words, in terms of what I heard, then that reinforces that knowledge. Prabhupada said, right, if you repeat something 3 times, then it gets reinforced. So that's the principle. That's it. That is why when we hear something, we should develop the habit that immediately next day, or even after class, next day, the soonest the best, you phone someone and tell him, you know what I heard? I love this point. You don't need to say, Nishingananda said, you can just say, well, Prabhupada in the purport, I read this purport, Prabhupada said this point, such an amazing point. And this is what the realization I got, this is now Krishna conscious. Now you're sharing, and that point that excited you, that point that really, wow, struck a chord in your heart. If you repeat that to 2, 3, 4 devotees, that is sadhu sangha. That is what Krishna says. We come together and talk about him. This is how Krishna's love becomes attracted, or we draw Krishna's love when we do this, when we share. So this is a very good spiritual habit to cultivate, to share what inspires us in Krishna consciousness. And that makes, it then goes deep within our consciousness. Shamananda Prabhu says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, just some nice info from Srila Prabhupada letter you can share if okay. Yes, if you give me that, we can share. Sukadeva Goswami said, don't increase material assets. Srila Prabhupada is warning us, no material advancement, you will never be happy. And again, here's a very interesting side to that. Srila Prabhupada, you'll see in different purports, Prabhupada will emphasize and say specific things. So Prabhupada's making the point that we should not increase, or we should not focus on material advancement. Now, when we see everything as Krishna's property, then getting material resource, inverted commas, material is not material. Because now whatever I get, just like Prabhupada was getting so much material, inverted commas, material resources, but he didn't see it as material resources. He saw this is Krishna's energy, this is Krishna's facilities coming for his pleasure. Therefore, it's spiritual. Prabhupada said, you can spiritualize this material body, you can spiritualize everything's material world when it's connected to Krishna. So therefore, Prabhupada in other instances, when that purport or when that verse calls for this point, then Prabhupada will also make that point. Like in one purport, Prabhupada says that this material world is a kingdom of God. Now, so many other purports, Prabhupada will say this material world is hellish, this material world is a prison house, the material world is like a dark well, this material world is not our real home. We need to go to Goloka Vrindavan, we need to go to the spiritual world. And then you read this purport, Prabhupada says this material world is the kingdom of God. Oh, really? I'm in the kingdom of God? Yes. So if I'm in the kingdom of God, then I don't need to go to the kingdom of God because I'm already in the kingdom of God. Yes, so therefore, as you elevate your consciousness, when your consciousness becomes Krishna conscious, that's what Krishna is all about, then you see everything in relation to Krishna, and therefore you're not separated from Krishna, and wherever Krishna is, that's the kingdom of God. So Shamananda Prabhu posted a letter to answer the second question. You should know that Arjuna and Kunti Devi are not in Krishna Loka. They are eternally associated with Krishna only in the material world. Just like Krishna is always in the spiritual world, so similarly, he's always in the material world, and his pastimes are going on there. Interesting, I was talking about the material world as the kingdom of God. So let's continue reading. In the material world, Krishna also has his eternal associates, such as Arjuna, Kunti Devi. There's a difference between the body and soul of Arjuna and Kunti Devi. Although Arjuna is with Krishna in innumerable different material universes at one time, still there is only one spirit soul who is Arjuna, correct? This spirit soul expands into many different bodies. Thus, you can understand that there are also incarnations of devotees as well as incarnations of Krishna, correct? This is the power of the spirit soul, that it is unlimited. Wonderful. Such conceptions can be understood. Such conceptions cannot be understood while one is still in the conditioned state. Very true. Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful excerpt from a letter to Sharadya. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, wonderful point. And this is, as we grow in Krishna consciousness, then these aspects also begin to come. Narad Muni himself witnessed how Krishna expands. But when Krishna expanded, Narad Muni also expanded in Dwarka to visit all the palaces. Krishna gives the potency or the power to the devotees like that to expand. Now, with material consciousness, is inconceivable how the soul can be one and in many places. That is Krishna's Achintya Shakti. And another aspect is there are different categories of incarnations. Most incarnations are eternal. Most incarnations come for that purpose and then unmanifest. And then in relation to devotees, so here Prabhupada is using the example, Kunti Devi is not in Krishna Loka. Arjuna is not in Krishna Loka, but the spiritual world is also divided in different dimensions. So there's Krishna Loka, there's Dwarka, there's Ayodhya, there's Vaikuntha, different realms, and different devotees are situated in different realms. Uttara Devidasi says, only those that are materially exhausted can approach Krishna. Only those who are Kanchana Gochara, Kinchana. They are not interested in material prosperity. Their interest is Krishna and Krishna only. And whether resources come or don't come, it's immaterial. Krishna is my ultimate wealth. And we gave examples of both devotees that had a lot of resources and devotees that didn't have a lot of resources. But both categories of these devotees had Krishna as the ultimate wealth, had Krishna Prem as the ultimate wealth. And that's how we can attract Krishna. If you want Krishna, you have to think of Krishna. Contemplate on Krishna. That's the secret that is propagated in this material world. You know, the secret, the law of attraction. So the law of attraction is correct. Whatever you think, you're going to attract. If you think of Krishna, you're going to attract Krishna. The challenge is they want material prosperity and they have the philosophy, if I think of material prosperity and my vision and whatever else, I'm going to get that. Yes, that's true, but you're not going to get it in this life necessarily. You may get it in the future lives. You're missing many other laws which are there in Krishna's domain, creation. So when you know all of Krishna's laws, then you can apply them nicely, cohesively, holistically. But in isolation, you will be frustrated. So our focus, our true wealth is Krishna. And that is what Srimad Bhagavatam is presenting. Srimad Bhagavatam appears in this world. Krishna appears as Srimad Bhagavatam in this world to give us that greatest wealth. And Queen Kunti is going to extol and glorify that greatest wealth today. Her prayers, as we continue from 18 to 44, and the section of prayers we're covering today is 29 to 31. The Lord's nature is inconceivable and bewildering. So she starts with text 29. No one can understand you. Your partiality is imagined. 30. You are Aja, but take birth. Akartu, but act. Fear is afraid of you, but you are afraid of Yashoda. So let us hear Srila Prabhupada chanting text 29, 30, and 31.
Na veda paschid bhagavan chikirsitam. Na veda paschid bhagavan chikirsitam. Tabe hamanasya nirang vilambanam. Tabe hamanasya nirang vilambanam. Najasya paschid daitosti karhichi. Jasmin Visamamasvinam Janma karma cha vishyatman Janma karma cha vishyatman Najasya karturatmanaham Ijjangmi shishu jadasu Tadatanta virambanam Janma karma cha vishyatman Najasya karturatmanaham Ijjang shishu jadasu Tadantanta virambanam Namaste Purushattadam Isharam Pradite Param Alaksham Sarvabhutanam Antarbahiravastitam Namaste Purushattadam ईश्वरं प्रकृते परम् अलक्ष्यं सर्वभूतानां अन्तर्बहिरवस्थितम् गुप्याददेतै कृतदासीदाम पावन् जाते दशासु कनिलान् जनसम्भ्रमाख्यम् गुप्याददेतै कृतदा भयभावनया स्थितस्य कामाय विमोहयति प्रतीतर्विभेति.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So in this section of verses, Queen Kunti is talking about the Lord's nature, which is inconceivable. And Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he presents this question that if there's a disagreement about Krishna, who will decide the truth? People present different aspects of the Supreme Lord. For example, is Krishna in one place or is Krishna everywhere? So if this is a disagreement, somebody says, no, Krishna is only one place. Somebody says, no, Krishna is everywhere. Who's going to decide the truth? The answer is no one. Why? Because Krishna is inconceivable. Therefore, you cannot know everything about Krishna and how Krishna even does different things and why Krishna does different things and how Krishna presents himself in different ways. If you tell someone God became big fish, it's mind-boggling. If you had to go to a Christian and tell Christian, your God, Jesus talks about my Father in heaven, Christ became a fish. Immediately they'll take their understanding of fish and superimpose Christ and fish. No, cannot be. This is the challenge. Or you tell someone, God became a baby, or sleeping on the laps of mother's shoulder. Christ becoming a baby? Krishna becoming a baby? It's inconceivable. So this section is going to cover Krishna is bewildering. Krishna's pastimes are bewildering. Krishna's actions are bewildering. He is a bewildering personality because he has inconceivable energies. Text 29. Na veda kaschid bhagavans chikirsitam tave hamanyasya nirnam vidambanam nayasya kaschid daitostikar hichid dveshyas chayasyam yasmin vishamamatir nrinam. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and are also misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. So now Queen Kunti, she's seeing Krishna in front of her, and she's now offering this prayer to Krishna that no one can understand your transcendental pastimes. When Krishna scripts his pastimes, consider a materialistic person who is a director of movies, futuristic, scientific, or entertaining movies. They're very innovative and they script very innovative scripts. Consider Krishna, who's the absolute personality of God, who's the absolute truth, who's the most intelligent. His pastimes, his dramas, his scripts are out of this world. And therefore, people with materialistic consciousness cannot understand Krishna's pastimes. They're totally transcendental. They're way beyond their comprehension. And one reason why it's way beyond them is because they appear to be human-like. And she's going to share some of these human-like pastimes of Krishna. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet he comes and performs his pastimes, and it seems like he forgets or like he's ignorant. Just consider, if you had to tell someone Krishna came 5,000 years ago and Krishna went to Gurukul, God appeared 5,000 years ago. Oh, very nice. God appeared 5,000 years ago. Excellent. Where? In Vrindavan. Oh, wonderful. And what did he do? Oh, well, he grew up and he went to Gurukul. Huh? He grew up and went to school. God going to school. Yes. He had a teacher, Sandipani Muni. He learned the 64 arts. God learning. Very interesting. Immediately bewildering. See, Krishna is acting like a human being. His pastimes are human-like. Therefore, people say, no, that can't be God then. I mean, how can God go to school? Really? Right? He's supposed to be omniscient. He knows everything. He's all over. He's all present everywhere. He knows everything. So if he knows everything, I always say, why should he learn? Oh, I know why. He was acting, right? So Krishna didn't know anything. He was acting that he didn't know anything, and he had to go to school, just act like a student. Nope, he wasn't acting. He wasn't acting? No, he wasn't acting. That becomes bewildering. So that's the point that Queen Kunti is sharing. Then she makes another point. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. So Krishna doesn't like someone and Krishna doesn't dislike someone. Krishna is neutral to everyone. And if people say, well, Krishna favored this person and Krishna didn't favor this person, that is simply their imagination. Partiality is their imagination. So Prabhupada in the purport says, the Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed. So whether one is fallen or whether one is a devotee, Krishna's mercy is equally distributed. He has no one as a specific object of hostility. The very conception of the personality of God as a human being is misleading. His pastimes appear to be exactly like human beings, but actually they are transcendental and without any tinge of material contamination. Krishna's pastimes are not part or not connected, not influenced by the three modes of material nature. They're totally, completely transcendental. Now, if you see this picture of Krishna with the cowherd boys, this is what we do when we have a party with our friends. We sit together and we have lunch. So Krishna is sitting here with his cowherd boys and having lunch. It's human-like, but there's a vast difference when we have a picnic and Krishna has a picnic. Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd friends here is totally transcendental. What bewilders people is how Krishna acts and responds. For example, Krishna will be holding a laddu in his left hand. And everybody is brought up to not hold food in your left hand, eat with your right hand. And Krishna's got prasad in both hands and is eating with both hands. Even this bewildered Lord Brahma. Shamananda Prabhu says that Dr. Frog thinking, yes. But our material mind, this is inconceivable. Brahma looked at this and he said, that's God? He doesn't even know which hand to eat with. So we're going to be covering why. How come Krishna is in this situation and performing these wonderful pastimes, the first most important point we have to appreciate that none of these pastimes, Krishna does not interact with the modes of material nature. Krishna does not come in contact with material nature. Already we know from Srila Vyasadev's realizations, if you recollect from Srila Vyasadev's realizations, let's see if you can recollect. What point am I about to share in relation to the point that I'm making, that his pastimes appear to be exactly like a human being, but actually they are transcendental without any tinge of material contamination? What validation can we get from what we covered previously in relation to Srila Vyasadev's realizations of what he saw? Please put in the chat. What can you remember that validates this point that Prabhupada is making in the purport in relation to what we already covered from Srila Vyasadev's realization? Any suggestions? Hemabhati Radhika says, Maya was in the distance far away. Very good. Yes. Maya was a distant. Maya was never in touch with Krishna. She was away. Krishna never comes in contact with the material energy. If Krishna wants to come in contact with material energy, then how does he do that? In what feature or form does he do that? Please let us know in the chat. If Krishna wants to come in contact with the material energy, in what form or feature does he do that? Mahamaya? No, that's Krishna's energy. Yes, Shambhu, glance, Lord Shiva. So Krishna appears as Lord Shiva if he wants to come in contact with the material energy. Otherwise, Krishna is always transcendental. And because Krishna is always transcendental, his pastimes, his activities, everything, the holy name is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material world. He is undoubtedly known as partial to his pure devotees. But in fact, he is never partial, as much as the sun is never partial to anyone. By utilizing the sun rays, sometimes even the stones become valuable, whereas a blind man cannot see the sun, although there are enough sun rays before him. Darkness and light are two opposite conceptions, but this does not mean that the sun is partial in distributing its rays. The sun rays are open to everyone, but the capacity of the receptacles differ. So Prabhupada gives a beautiful analogy from the Acharyas as well, in terms of the sun. Sun is equally giving its rays to everyone. And depending on how the individuals receive the sun rays, they will respond, and the impact will be different. Foolish people think that devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy. Factually, the pure devotees who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are not a mercantile community. A mercantile house renders service to someone in exchange of values. So this is a very, very important principle we need to imbibe as we progress in Krishna consciousness. Devotional service, Krishna consciousness, is not a mercantile exchange. Prahlad Maharaj made it very clear to the Lord when Lord Nrsimhadev said, please ask for a boon. He said, my Lord, I'm not a businessman. It's not a business arrangement. I do something for you, you do something for me. No. Love is not a business arrangement. Love is a selfless exchange. We want to serve the beloved because we love the person, not because we want something from the person. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada also makes the point very clear that in this material world, you don't get love, because in the name of love, people want something. I love you because you're going to give me something. Otherwise, I don't love you. That is not love, that is lust. That's mercantile exchange. Love means I serve the beloved without any expectation or reciprocation or reward or exchange of values. It's very, very deep, very exalted. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed like that. You embrace me or you handle me roughly, still unworshipable Lord. So this is love. And as we progress in our Krishna consciousness, yes, in the beginning, we're praying to the Lord for so many things. In essence, as you advance, you will find as you develop your love, even the desire to become purified is irrelevant. That you are serving the Lord, you're chanting his name, you are engaged in devotional service. Whatever the Lord wants to do, so be it. When one comes to that level of Krishna consciousness, he's always under the shelter and protection of the love of Krishna. He'll be blissful even if he's sinful. In the neophyte stage, naturally we engage in devotional service to become purified. But when we understand the essence of love, which the Bhagavatam is sharing, which Prabhupada wonderfully gave this world and is giving this world, then we appreciate that my goal is to simply love Krishna. And Prabhupada says, love means active service. So I simply want to render service. And then Prabhupada goes on to say, the pure devotees does not render service unto the Lord for such exchange. And therefore, the full mercy of the Lord is open for him. So when I do any service and I don't have any expectation of exchange, big, small, or any form, whether it's to become purified, whether it's to get material prosperity, whether it's to go to heaven, whether it's to get liberation, or even to go back to Godhead. I have absolutely no desire for exchange. My only aspiration is, my Lord, please be happy by the service. I want to simply please you. I'm so fallen, I'm so sinful, I'm such a rascal. And therefore I cannot please you sufficiently because I'm contaminated. But whatever capacity I have, I'm offering this to you for your pleasure. And that is what Krishna appreciates. When one has that consciousness, that attitude, then you have access to the full mercy of the Lord. So to the degree you have expectations, to that degree Krishna's mercy closes. Like many people, they say, so God exists. Yes. Can you show me God? See, already you have an expectation. It's like, you can command God. You are in control. You're the boss. No, you can never see God with that expectation. Krishna will cover you completely from seeing him. And he holds the perfect right for that. He can do that. Krishna reveals himself to those more and more who have no mercantile mentality. Suffering and needy men, inquisitive persons, or philosophers make temporary connections with the Lord to serve a particular purpose. We know in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says these 4 types of people. those who are distressed, those who are seeking wealth, those who are inquisitive, those who are seeking knowledge, they're pious because they're connecting with him. But just connecting, right, and amplifying that connection for love is two different things. We are not just interested in connecting with Krishna. We are interested in connecting and deepening our relationship, our loving relationship. So most of these people that Prabhupada was mentioning, they want to serve a particular purpose. The distress wants his disease, his distress removed. Those who are inquisitive want some knowledge, want some answers. Those who in need of money, they want wealth. So they want some purpose fulfilled. They're really not interested in Krishna. They're interested in some other byproduct. So therefore, they don't get Krishna's full mercy. Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna talks about this, Prabhupada said it's good that, in fact, and even the Acharyas describe, it's good that you come because of these reasons and connect to God, but you don't want to stay on this level. So we may be conditioned to pray to Krishna for, different things that we need, and that's not bad. But as we advance, then it becomes fine-tuned, and we begin to recognize and realize really what we want to ask. Is, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, na danam na janam na sundarim kavitam bhajgadesh mama janmani janmani shware baba bhaktir aitukya. That we want bhakti, we want devotional service life after life. I simply want to serve you life after life. This is what we want. We don't want anything else. So we can ask Krishna, please give me love. Please bring me closer to your lotus feet. This is the desire. And whatever is required for that, my Lord, you please provide, you please make arrangements. While the purpose is served, there is no more relation with the Lord. As soon as, if somebody wants money and they come to God, they pray to Krishna, Krishna gives them wealth. As soon as that purpose is served, then they leave. This is the danger. A suffering man, if he is pious at all, prays to the Lord for his recovery. But as soon as the recovery is over, in most cases, the suffering man no longer cares to keep any connection with the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is open for him, but he is reluctant to receive it. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a mixed devotee. Those who are completely against the service of the Lord, are considered to be in abject darkness. Those who ask for the Lord's favor only at a time of necessity are partial recipients of the mercy of the Lord. And those who are 100% engaged in the service of the Lord are full recipients of the mercy of the Lord. Such partiality in receiving the Lord's mercy is relative to the recipient, and it is not due to the partiality of the all-merciful Lord. So Prabhupada at the end defines very, very clearly those who have no mercy, those who have partial mercy, and those who have full mercy. If we 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, we should know and have firm faith that we have the full mercy of the Supreme Lord. That service, as we covered last week, and also in the previous sessions, that service is wonderful, it's a privilege, but the quality of that service is also important. We need to increase the quantity and the quality of our service to receive the full blessings and the mercy of the Lord. One time in the early 1968s, Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles, they were starting spreading Krishna consciousness, and after lecture, one youngster asked Srila Prabhupada, why is he more merciful to Tamal Krishna Maharaj? And Prabhupada laughed and said, no, he's not more merciful to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. His mercy is equally disposed to everyone. Spiritual Master mercy is equally disposed to everyone. But it's just that You have to be expert to receive it. You have to be expert to grab it. You have to be a wonderful receptacle. So if your heart becomes a wonderful receptacle to grab, to take that mercy, then you can grab as much mercy as you want. There's unlimited mercy available. The question is, do you want it? And why do you want it? So by becoming, or by good association, by associating with the Bhagavatam, by associating with Bhaktivedanta purports, in association with devotees, then this aspiration becomes stronger. That yes, I want more mercy simply to serve Krishna. I want more mercy simply to give everything to Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna. If you see here all the coward boys that are sitting here, every single one of them, even though if you look, their attention, if you see many of them, their attention is not, everyone's attention is not focused on Krishna. If you look at these two boys here, their attention is towards each other. If you see here, their attention is towards it. If you see these two boys, their attention is towards each other, right? So here, these devotees, these coward boys, their attention is to Krishna. Look at these two boys. Their attention is towards each other. But even though they're discussing with each other, what is their focus? Who's in their heart? Who's the center of their consciousness? Who's the center of their heart? It's only one person, and that is Krishna. They are talking to each other. Oh, my mata cooked this laddu, and I am 1000% sure Krishna is going to love this laddu. So they're sharing their love with Krishna, and then they're going to offer that to Krishna. So every single one of them, their focus is Krishna. Consider this boy. He's eating the laddu himself. And it may seem like, hold on, he's eating the laddu. No, that's not Krishna conscious. No. He's eating the laddu, and he's going to bite the laddu, and he's going to think, yes, this laddu tastes very nice. Krishna is really going to love this laddu. And then he's going to offer the laddu. So everyone's focus is Krishna. Those that are directly serving Krishna and giving Krishna, that are close, and those that are even apparently distracted, their attention and their focus is Krishna. They're completely Krishna conscious because of their love. So the more we take these instructions of Srila Prabhupada, like fine-tuning, right? We connected to Krishna. That's wonderful. You can say, well, we in the Krishna conscious movement. That's wonderful by Prabhupada's mercy. But just being connected is not good enough. Prabhupada said, and in the early stages, yes, Prabhupada wanted to get people connected. But once we connected, then what? Prabhupada said, distribute the milk. Now we got enough milk. Now we need to thicken the milk, boil the milk. So just getting connected is nice, is wonderful. But don't just be connected. Now we have to intensify that connection. And how do we intensify the connection? Prabhupada is sharing in his purports. For example, like here, don't make your connection a mercantile exchange of values. Be 100% engaged in the service of the Lord. So these are specific instructions that Srila Prabhupada is sharing in his purports to deepen the connection with Krishna. Then Prabhupada continues, when the Lord descends on this material world by his all powerful, all merciful energy, he plays like a human being. And therefore it appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees only, but that is not the fact. Despite such apparent manifestations of partiality, his mercy is equally distributed. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all persons who died in the fight before the presence of the Lord got salvation without the necessary qualifications, because death before the presence of the Lord purifies the passing soul from the effects of all sins, and therefore dying man gets placed somewhere in the transcendental abode. Somehow or other, if someone puts himself open in the sun rays, he is sure to get the requisite benefit both by the heat and the ultraviolet rays. Therefore, the conclusion is the Lord is never partial. It is wrong for the people in general to think of him as partial. So this point is very, very, very important to understand, because people generally blame God. Oh, why is God so unkind? Why are people suffering? Oh, just see, God is so unkind. COVID is all over the world and killing so many people. No, it is not because of Krishna's doing. Krishna has been partial or impartial or causing suffering. No, Krishna is, Prabhupada says, Krishna is all good. And whatever Krishna does is always for the benefit of the living entity eternally. So the suffering that we get is not because of Krishna's partiality. It's because of karma. It's because of my own actions. It's because of my doing. And because of my actions, then I'm getting corresponding reaction or response. It's not Krishna. And the example is given of the sun rays. The sun rays are equally distributing heat and ultraviolet rays. But each living entity, each personality, according to their receptivity, responds with those rays differently. So here, the example of the sun gives the same light to everyone, but seems to be partial because, one, it imparts its own qualities to the sunstone. So the sunstone reflects the sun, the heat of the sun. It's indifferent to the blind. The blind cannot even see the sun rays, the sunlight. Gives joy to the Chakravaka birds. They happy because as the sun is, because the sun will sunshine and sun will create the clouds. For Krishna's evaporating water from the oceans and clouds are created. So now the Chakravata bird is very happy and is harmful to the thieves and the owls. The owls, they can't see the sun, so they keep their eyes closed. And the thieves don't like sun because it's sharing too much light. So the sun is equally sharing its sun rays, but each personality or item is receiving the sun in a different, receiving sunlight in different ways. However, the cause of this indifference is the quality of the specific object that comes in contact with the sun. Similarly, although the Lord is not partial, different people relate with the Lord in different ways according to their own qualities. So the result of Krishna's mercy is not because of Krishna's partiality, but because of our response and how we're responding to that mercy and our own activities that allows Krishna's mercy to respond in a certain way. And when we understand that, then we understand that whatever individuals are getting is in their own hands. Like when people say the destiny is in your hand. So destiny is in your hand. Whatever you want, you will get. But we understand that you get ultimately because of Krishna's mercy. Without the sun, without Krishna's mercy, one is disconnected. So we don't want to be disconnected, but at the same time, we want to know that whatever we get is due to our own activities, our own qualities, our own receptivity. And we want to try to connect with Krishna with the proper consciousness, with the proper receptivity to Krishna's mercy. Now we'll bring it to another perspective, a deeper perspective. So we know Krishna is not partial. And it all depends on how people are receiving that mercy and responding to that mercy. But Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur also takes it a little further. And he says, actually, even if Krishna is partial, that is glorious. That is not a bad quality of Krishna. That is actually an ornament of Krishna. Like Krishna said, he's not going to fight in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But out of love, Krishna became partial. He did not want to favor the Pandavas and he did not want to favor the Kauravas. He wanted to be neutral. I'm impartial. I'm not going to fight. Duryodhan, you can have my army. Arjuna, you can have me as a charioteer. I won't fight. So Krishna was impartial. His mercy was impartial. And he says, I'm going to fight. But then, oh, wait, what's happening here now? Krishna, you're fighting. And Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, this is a wonderful ornament of Krishna. Why? Because of love. And because of love, because of Arjuna's love for Krishna and Krishna's love for Arjuna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is impartial, and any impartiality that you see is simply your imagination. Because of love, Krishna's love allows Krishna to become partial, allows Krishna to even break his promise and is ready to pick up a will and protect his devotees and even kill. This is Krishna's love. So therefore, this ornament of Krishna's partiality with his devotee, if you harm Krishna's devotee, you harm him. And Krishna takes that seriously. So, Krishna's relationship, loving relationship with his devotees is very, very special. And when Krishna responds in unpredictable, partial ways, this is a beautiful, wonderful ornament that we can glorify Krishna. And that is why, coming to the same point of why we worship Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not because he's God, not because he has so many opulences, not because he is the maintainer, creator, destroyer of the universe. No. Jiva Goswami says the only reason why we worship Krishna is because he's Bhagavatam. Krishna loves his devotees. And this loving exchange is really why we are affiliated to Krishna. Text 30. Janma karma cha vishvatman ajasya kartur atmana teriyan nrishishu yadashu tad atyanta vidambana. Vidambana, bewildering. Queen Kunti says, of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work though you are inactive, and that you take birth though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend among animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. So now she's sharing Krishna's bewildering, inconceivable potencies and activities. Krishna considered Krishna is everywhere. If Krishna is everywhere, then how can he move from one place to another? She's speaking to Krishna. Krishna is in front of her. And Krishna is going to go from one situation to another. Krishna is going from Indraprasth and is now going back to Dwarka. So if Krishna is going from Indraprasth to Dwarka, that means he's going from one place to another place. He's moving. So if he's going from one place to another place, means he's not in Dwarka, he's in Indraprasth, and is going to go to Dwarka, and then he's not going to be in Indraprasth when he's in Dwarka. Yet Krishna is everywhere. So then if Krishna is everywhere, why is he going to Dwarka? Because he's already there. No, he's not there. He's only in, now he's in Hastinapur. He's in Indraprasth. But if he's in Indraprasth, then he can't be everywhere. So this becomes bewildering. Oh yeah, this is contradictory. Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. It's achintya, it's inconceivable. Krishna has inconceivable potencies. Therefore, what Krishna does is inconceivable. Bewildering and contradictory. Prabhupada starts in the purport. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of the human being. When you hear devotees respond, I don't know why Krishna is doing this. And that is good. That is true. That's inconceivable. Very good. Because you'll never know why Krishna is doing it. That's what makes Krishna consciousness more exciting. Because you don't know how Krishna is going to respond. In fact, many devotees, they say, you never, when you were with Srila Prabhupada, you never know how Srila Prabhupada is going to respond. That's what makes it exciting. So when you're with Krishna, we know Krishna will perfectly respond, but his response is inconceivable. The Lord is the all-prevailing supersoul of all existence, and yet he appears in the form of a boar amongst the animals, in the form of a human being as Rama, Krishna, etc., in the form of a rishi like Narayan, in the form of an aquatic like a fish, yet it is said that he is unborn and he has nothing to do. In the Shruti mantra, it is said that Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. Supreme Brahman, the energy of God, is all pervasive and has nothing to do. So if God is everywhere, is all pervasive in the form of Brahman and has nothing to do, then why all these activities of the Lord? His appearance, his different activities of fighting, of establishing dharma, why all these activities? These are contradictory activities and statements. No one is equal to or greater than him. He has manifold energies and everything is performed by him perfectly by automatic knowledge, strength, and activities. So never try to understand God because he is inconceivable. Never try to understand the workings of God because he has inconceivable energies. Simply try to appreciate. Simply try to be grateful. Simply try to be awed by Krishna's inconceivable potencies and powers because they are working perfectly and automatically. All these statements prove without any question that the Lord's activities, forms, and deeds are all inconceivable to our limited thinking power. And because he is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible to him. So now this is how we should respond to Krishna's actions. And in the last statement, Prabhupada is revealing a very important trait and quality of Krishna we need to imbibe more and more. First point is that because he has inconceivable powers or inconceivable activities, his form, his deeds are all inconceivable, we accept that yes, we cannot comprehend, we accept. But because he has inconceivable powers, everything is possible for him. Krishna has unlimited potencies and powers. Therefore, anything is possible for Krishna. So if anything is possible for Krishna, then why doesn't Krishna in one moment remove COVID? because he has inconceivable potence. He can do that. But the fact that Krishna is not doing that, that is inconceivable. Krishna's activities are inconceivable. We don't know why Krishna is doing it. Therefore, don't try to understand why Krishna is doing it. Simply accept that whatever Krishna is doing, which is inconceivable, beyond your limited understanding, is the best thing for you and every one of us. Why? The more you contemplate on it, you will get the answer. Why it's the best for you at this specific time. Sometimes the devotees may say, oh yes, our movement is not going in the right direction. No, it's going in the perfect direction. Because Krishna is all powerful and he's in full control. We find when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world and the movement went for over 500 years, the movement was practically derailed by the Sahajas. We can say, was Krishna in control? Yes, Krishna is always in control. Krishna never loses control. So why did Krishna do that? It's inconceivable. Never try to understand. Whatever lessons are there will be learned in the future. We have to understand everything that Krishna does when we connected to Krishna. Everything Krishna does in relation to you is for your good. He can do whatever you expect. But if Krishna only does what you expect, then it's not what Krishna wants for you. It's not what Krishna has planned for you. It's not how Krishna wants you to learn. So if things are not working according to how you expect, then try to understand what is the lesson that Krishna wants you to learn. What is Krishna trying to teach you? And in this way, when you understand and put your faith completely in Krishna's hands, because Krishna is omnipotent, Krishna is all-powerful, Krishna is inconceivable, and therefore I know that if I put my life in Krishna's hands, I will always be in safe hands, even if I understand or don't understand. And in most cases, I will not understand. And that's the faith that we need to establish and cultivate. So as Prabhupada is giving and sharing through these prayers of Queen Kunti, and as we go through each chapter of the Bhagavatam, each canto, it's building, it's developing, it's strengthening, it's empowering our character, our faith, our determination, our conviction, our knowledge in Krishna. Why? So that we can enter into the 10th canto. And Queen Kunti is going to open that door, open that window in the next verse. Therefore, Prabhupada says, no one can calculate him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. Yes, the devotees will appreciate it. Devotees will understand. The common man cannot understand. And even if the devotees cannot understand, they're happy because they know Krishna's there. And if Krishna's there, we're in safe hands. He cannot be understood by the Vedic knowledge, but he can be easily understood by the pure devotees because they are intimately related with him. The devotees therefore know that although he appears amongst the animals, he's not an animal, nor a man, nor a rishi, nor a fish. He is eternally the Supreme Lord in all circumstances. So Krishna appearing in all these different incarnations, for the devotees, this is wonderful. This is amazing. That our Lord, our Krishna, can appear in so many ways for so many wonderful pastimes, giving pleasure to his devotees, protecting his devotees, killing the demons. This is wonderful. It's like a mother that has a son or a daughter, and they are able to, present themselves and do so many things in the house, in their life. They're able to, sing. They're able to speak. They're able to talk. They're able to, act in plays in so many amazing ways. All the activities just gives the parents greater and greater pleasure. So like that, when Krishna performs all his wonderful activities, they nourish the love of the devotees. They are bewildering for the common man, but they nurture and heighten the love of the devotees. So Queen Kunti, she's presenting that Krishna, you in front of me here, and yet you appear like a fish. Yet it seems that you're appearing and you take birth and you're unborn. This is amazing. This is bewildering. Jiva Goswami, in relation to this verse, says makes a wonderful statement. He says, how can God descend as a hog, Varadev, or as a fish, Matsya? How can the Supreme Lord as Rama be banished? Right? I mean, God getting banished? I mean, really? God owns everything and he's getting banished. I mean, this is ridiculous. Right? It's like God is getting punished. Lord Ram is getting punished. It's like, wow. How can he who is unborn take birth within a prison cell? How can the Pandavas, Krishna's dear devotee friends, undergo continuous tribulations? You were the most powerful protector, and yet you're going through all the tribulations? How can God steal butter and feed it to monkeys? When we act, our motivation is desire, but Krishna lacks nothing. He possesses supreme self-satisfaction. Why does he act? He is not impelled by anything external, as nothing external to him exists. Why does he even descend to this world? So this is inconceivable. Sri Jiva Goswami Dev concludes that Lord's pastimes are inconceivable. So when we encounter inconceivable things that you cannot comprehend, it should not derail you from your connection with Krishna. It should not deter you or take you away from your relationship with Krishna. It should intensify the relationship. And it can only intensify the relationship when you put your heart before your brain. It'll only intensify your relationship when you put your heart before your brain. Park your brain on the back burner, trying to know God, trying to know things about Krishna. Put that on the back burner, because to know Krishna is inconceivable. Krishna is unlimited, therefore it's inconceivable. Rather put your heart in front. Understand how wonderful this is. This is what Queen Kunti is appreciating about Mother Yashoda in the next verse. Here we see God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, taking great pleasure on the lap of Mother Yashoda. That person who is the reservoir of pleasure is extracting pleasure from Mother Yashoda. If he's the reservoir, then how can he get pleasure from another source when he is the source? It's inconceivable. And Krishna is loving this. You can see he's there on Mother Yashoda's lap. He's relishing, he's in ecstasy, he's in bliss. That person who's on the lap of Mother Yashoda, who is giving shelter, protection to make everyone peaceful, he is on the lap of Mother Yashoda, very peaceful. It's contradiction. So it's apparent, it's inconceivable. And we're going to cover why. But this is a bewildering for the materialists. And it's nurturing, nourishing, and wonderful for the devotees like Queen Kunti and the pure devotees of the Lord. Text 31. Now, text 31, Queen Kunti is now bringing the focus. She's opening the door. She's opening the window to the 10th canto. Try to appreciate. Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses, 12 cantos. Prabhupada says you have to go from one canto to another, from one chapter to another, from one canto to another, to systematically understand, systematically get purified, so that you can enter into the 10th canto. If someone picks up the Bhagavatam and they don't know about Krishna, they start reading. The first verse very clearly establishes Janmadyasya yatanvayat tarastarte sobigna swarat. Krishna is abhigna, Krishna is swarat, Krishna is a supreme person, a supreme absolute truth. He is God. Wonderful. So it's establishing Krishna, the opulence of Krishna, the Godhead, the supreme Godhead. And now Queen Kunti opens the door, opens the window to something that is far, far beyond comprehension and the understanding of Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. And Jiva Goswami comments in relation to this verse we're going to read. He says, this verse speaks the most sublime truth that Krishna is conquered by love. And this is why Krishna reciprocates and responds, just as all the objects respond in relation to the sun rays, or in relation to Krishna's mercy in different ways. Krishna also responds to the devotees in different ways because of love. Love conquers Krishna. Many people, Prabhupada would say, they want to become God. Why do you want to become God when you can be greater than God? And how can one become greater than God? By love. It's not the aspiration of the pure devotees to be greater than God. The greatest aspiration, if you want to be greater than God, you'll never achieve that position, because God means no one great, no one equal. But when you have the consciousness that I am an insignificant servant of the Lord, I simply want to serve the Lord. When you have that consciousness with that love overpowers the object of love, Krishna. Krishna, if you take Radha and Krishna, the absolute truth. Radha one is the embodiment of love. Krishna is the object of love. Krishna allows the devotees to have the love which is there in Srimati Radhavani come into your heart, and then Krishna reciprocates with that love. And great devotees like Mother Yashoda, who have such exalted love, especially the residents of Vrindavan, they're able to control Krishna. And this bewilders the materialists and even bewilders devotees like Queen Kunti, who have love with awe. They have love in the realm of Aishwarya, of opulence, because they accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord. So she says, Gopya dadi tvai kritangashi damatva tavad yate dasha shru kalilang jana sambramaksham vaktram niniya bhava bhavana ya stitasya samam vimohayati bir api yad vibeti. My dear Krishna, Yashoda took a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. Those who know the pastime of Damodar, we can appreciate because we hear about this glories, the glories of the month of Damodar in terms of the love of Mother Yashoda. Those who are new, this becomes bewildering. That this person who's running from Mother Yashoda, this is God. God, firstly, is a baby. That's bewildering. And Queen Kunti, she's seeing Krishna there, the Supreme Personality God. She's glorifying Krishna. You are Param Purusha. You are the Supreme Lord. And yet, you take a form of a baby to respond to Mother Yashoda's love. How wonderful. This is astounding. This is bewildering. This is amazing. She wants that. She doesn't have that love and relationship like Mother Yashoda has. And she's appreciating that. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord. This is God. And he's a baby. Wow, that's far out. Now, not only is he a baby, Mother Yashoda is chasing him with a stick. And she took up a rope to bind him. Really? God getting chastised? That's bewildering. And why is he getting chastised? I mean, who has the audacity to chastise God? Prabhupada in his lecture, he says, nobody comes with a stick to the deities and say, God, behave. We know Hridaya Chaitanya, in Chaitanya Lila, Gornitai was there. When Sri Mahaprabhu was present 500 years ago, Sri Mahaprabhu got a sculpture to sculpt a form of themselves. First sets of deities. Identical deities of Gornitai. And they were worshipped by this devotee. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was enjoying kirtan. And the deities were also at home. And the pujari was worshipping the Lord. The deities, Gornitai, they were attracted by the kirtan. So they jumped off the altar. And they went to the kirtan. And when this pujari, when this devotee saw that the deities weren't there, he started running after them. Now, where are you all going? Where are you all going? And the deities, the Lord, were going to the Sankirtan party. This devotee was running after them with a stick. So this is the point. The devotee can even chastise the Lord. And eventually when he came to the scene, the Lord jumped into the heart of Hridaya Chaitanya. And that's how the Lord became, the devotee's name became Hridaya Chaitanya. We find even in Banki Bihari temple, one time there was kirtan, and the deities Krishna jumped off the altar to take part in the kirtan because it was so attractive, imbued with so much love that Krishna could not resist but take part. And the pujari, noticing this, he decided, no, this can't be. Krishna, you have to be on the altar. Otherwise, how are we going to do bhoga offering? How are we going to worship you? How are we going to arati if you there? Get onto the altar, and he closed the curtain. So that's why if you go to Banki Bihari temple now, they open the curtain for darshan, and very quickly, before the Lord changes his mind and gets some other thoughts in his mind, immediately close the curtain. This is the pastime. This is why they open the curtain, close the curtain very quickly. They don't want the Lord to jump out. So this is very, very astounding. This is bewildering. Someone can chastise God. This is bewildering. Now, Mother Yashoda can chastise Krishna. She has that prerogative. She has that adhikar to chastise Krishna. She can chastise Krishna, and when Krishna is chastised, he's not pretending to be fearful. He cries. God crying? That's bewildering. Jiva Goswami says Krishna is not pretending. He's actually fearful. But hold on, how can he be fearful? Because fear personified fears Krishna. So how can he be fearful? That's contradiction. That's bewildering. And why is this bewildering scenario of Krishna crying, messing his mascara, being afraid, running in fear, trying to hide, being chastised by Mother Yashoda because she doesn't want Krishna to grow up as a mischief boy? This is all because of love. Prabhupada in the purport says, here is another example of the bewilderment created by the pastime of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the supreme in all circumstances, as already explained. Here is a specific example of the Lord being the supreme and at the same time a plaything in the presence of his pure devotee. The Lord's pure devotees render service unto the Lord out of unalloyed love only. While discharging such devotional service, the pure devotees forgets the position of the Supreme Lord. I'm going to repeat that statement again. The Lord's pure devotees render service unto the Lord out of unalloyed love only. Remember in the previous purport, people render service to God. The materialists render service to God. The mixed devotees render service to God. For what reason? For exchange of values. The pure devotees, on the other hand, also render service to the Lord, but out of unalloyed love. Love that is not tinged with any business arrangement. And while they're discharging this service with this unalloyed love, while discharging such devotional service, the pure devotees forgets the position of the Supreme Lord. This love is so powerful, so overwhelming, that they forget Krishna is God. This is called divine ignorance. In the material world, we say the material world is diametrically opposed to the spiritual world. Whatever exists in the material world exists in the spiritual world. So if ignorance exists in the material world, it has to exist in the spiritual world. True. Ignorance in the material world takes you away from Krishna and allows you to forget Krishna. Ignorance in the spiritual world, called divine ignorance, allows you to forget Krishna and brings you closer to Krishna. And it is this forgetfulness of Krishna due to overwhelming, unalloyed love that the pure devotees have, that controls Krishna, that allows Krishna to forget his supremacy. Krishna forgets he is God due to this love. This is the power of this love, which is there in Vrindavan, which Queen Kunti is extolling and opening the doors. This love is what Bhagavatam is leading to. This love is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to distribute. This love is what the Acharyas have glorified and presented. This is the love that Srila Prabhupada came to open and to give, following the footsteps and the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to all in this world that are happy to accept and receive. The Supreme Lord also accepts loving service of his devotees, more relishable when the service is rendered spontaneously out of pure affection, without any reverential admiration. So this love that is overpowering, that allows the devotee to forget Krishna, Krishna relishes this love more than when you love him as a Supreme Father, as a Supreme Lord, as God. Krishna enjoys this more. And if our goal as part and parcel as servants of God is to give the greatest pleasure to God, then it's very clear that who is giving the greatest pleasure to God? It is the residents of Vrindavan. It is these devotees that Queen Kunti is extolling, especially Mother Yashoda, the gopis, the coward boys. Generally, the Lord is worshipped by the devotees in a reverential attitude, but the Lord is meticulously pleased. Note the choice of words. Meticulously pleased when the devotee, out of pure affection and love, considers the Lord to be less important than himself. Generally, the Lord is worshipped by the devotees in reverential attitude. But the Lord is meticulously pleased when the devotee, out of pure affection and love, considers to the Lord to be less important than himself. God is great. God is the most important. For Mother Yashoda, you are a child. You need chastisement. Stop stealing. Don't do nonsense. Don't act like a monkey. I'm your mother. What I say is more important. Out of love. This gives Krishna the greatest pleasure, meticulous pleasure. The Lord's pastimes in the original abode, Goloka Vrindavan, are exchanged in that spirit. The friends of Krishna consider him one of them. They do not consider him to be of reverential importance. The parents of the Lord, who are all pure devotees, consider him a child only. The Lord accepts the chastisement of the parents more cheerfully than the prayers of the Vedic hymns. Similarly, accepts the reproaches of his fiancés more palatably than the Vedic hymns. So Krishna, everyone in this world is seeking pleasure in the reservoir of pleasure, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Lord Ram. Krishna is seeking pleasure from the residents of Vrindavan. Mother Yashoda, the coward girls, Srimati Radhavani, the coward boys. And this loving reciprocation is really what puts Vrindavan and the residents of Vrindavan miles apart from the other relationships that people can have with Krishna. Why? Because the bottom line is, who can give Krishna the greatest pleasure? Krishna is Ananda Vyasat. He's pleasure seeking. We, as part and parcel, are also pleasure seeking. And here we are in the material world trying to seek pleasure that will never satisfy you. Why? Because you are spiritual in nature. Therefore, your nature of pleasure seeking should be aligned with your nature. A fish out of water will never be happy because it is out of its natural environment. Therefore, no amount or no arrangement of the fish out of land will satisfy the fish. It needs to be in its natural environment. Similarly, we as spiritual beings need spiritual pleasure. In relation to serving Krishna, we derive pleasure. Krishna also is Ananda Vyasat. He is also pleasure seeking. Otherwise, we would not have that. We get it from him. So he has it. So everyone is seeking pleasure from him. Where does he seek his pleasure? From the residents of Vrindavan. Yes, the devotees of Vaikuntha give pleasure to Krishna, but not as exalted, as meticulous, as great as residents of Vrindavan. Prabhupada continues. When Lord Krishna was present in this material world, he manifests his eternal pastimes of the transcendental realm of Goloka Vrindavan as an attraction for the people in general. He displayed a unique picture of subordination before his foster mother Yashoda. The Lord in his naturally childish, playful activities used to spoil the stock of butter of Mother Yashoda by breaking the pots and distributing the contents to his friends and playmates, including celebrated monkeys of Vrindavan, who took advantage of the Lord's munificence. Mother Yashoda saw this, and out of her pure love, she wanted to make a show of punishment for her transcendental child. She took a rope and threatened the Lord that she would tie him up, as is generally done in ordinary household. Seeing the rope in his hands of Mother Yashoda, the Lord bowed down his head and began to weep just like a child. Tears rolled down his cheeks, washing off the black ointment smeared about his beautiful eyes. This picture of the Lord is adored by Kunti Devi because she is conscious of the Lord's supreme position. He is feared often by fear personified, yet he is afraid of his mother who wanted to punish him just in an ordinary manner. Kunti was conscious of the exalted position of Krishna, whereas Yashoda was not. Therefore, Yashoda's position was more exalted than Kunti's. Mother Yashoda got the Lord as a child, and the Lord made her forget altogether that her child was the Lord himself. If Mother Yashoda had been conscious of the exalted position of the Lord, she would certainly have hesitated to punish the Lord. But she was made to forget the situation because the Lord wanted to make a complete gesture of childishness before the affectionate Yashoda. This exchange of love between the mother and the son was performed in a natural way, and Kunti, remembering the scene, was bewildered. And she could do nothing but praise the transcendental filial love. Indirectly, Mother Yashoda is praised for her unique position of love, for she could control even the all-powerful Lord as her beloved child. All glories to Mother Yashoda and the love that they have. And Queen Kunti is appreciating how wonderful, how glorious are these devotees that have this love, this type of love, such powerful love as compared to the love in Vaikuntha, as compared to the love of the materialists or even the demigods who are interested of the material pleasures, as compared to the love of the yogis for their mystic powers, as compared to the love of the fruit of workers interested in their prosperity. The love of the residents of Vrindavan is super excellent. And just as Krishna reciprocates with all living entities equally, he wants to reciprocate with the love of these great exalted devotees, the gopis, your mother showed that the coward boys. But their love, and especially the love of the gopis, is so super excellent that Krishna falls short in even trying to reciprocate with their love. And in order to repay their love, he appears as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to distribute and glorify their love. Prabhupada, in the lectures to these verses, what specific this verse says, I'll share a few excerpts from Prabhupada's lecture. Kunti Devi did not dare to take part of Yashoda. Just like we are offering obeisance to Krishna with awe and veneration. But nobody comes here to Krishna with a rope. Krishna, you're an offender, I shall bind you. Nobody comes. That is another prerogative of the most perfect devotee. Yes, Krishna wants that. So Kunti Devi is thinking of Krishna's opulence, but she did not dare to take part of Yashoda. That is not possible. Although Kunti Devi happened to be the aunt of Krishna, but she had no such privilege. This privilege is especially given to Yashoda Mai because she's so advanced devotee that she has got the right to chastise the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is special prerogative. We should also appreciate our privilege to serve Krishna. To engage in devotional service is no ordinary thing. It is the greatest privilege that we could have to engage in rendering service to Krishna. To chant the holy name of Krishna is a privilege. To hear the glories of Krishna is a privilege. To be connected to the devotees of the Lord is a privilege. To have a Bhagavad like Srila Prabhupada to guide us in our relationship with Krishna is a privilege. We should not take these privileges lightly. We should be eternally and constantly and daily grateful for these privileges. To hear about the prerogative, the special prerogative of the exalted devotees of Vrindavan is a privilege. We shouldn't be envious, but we should be happy to glorify these wonderful souls, pure devotees. Krishna is afraid of Yashoda Mai. So Kunti Devi was simply thinking of the privilege of Yashoda Mai. That how much fortunate and how much privilege she was that she could threaten the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is feared even by fear personified. But Krishna is afraid of Yashoda Mai. That is the super excellence of Krishna. Prabhupada says in the lecture, this is Krishna's beauty. Krishna is one of the opulences. Krishna is all beauty. This is one of Krishna's beauty, opulences. This is what makes Krishna so attractive. This is why the devotees, this is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell in love with Krishna. Everyone can have that privilege. Now Prabhupada is opening the door. Prabhupada is giving us a blessing. Don't think that the privilege was given to Mother Yashoda If not exactly like that, anyone can have that privilege. If you love Krishna as your child, then you'll have such privilege. This system is still current in India. When the child, too much disturbing, is bound up in a place, that is very common system. So Yashoda mother adopted it. Sir Mam Vimo Yayati, Vimo Hayati. So that is the scene appreciated by pure devotees, that how much greatness is there in the Supreme Person, that he is playing exactly like a perfect child. So according to our capacity to love Krishna, according to our aspiration to love Krishna, Krishna will provide that privilege and that access. So everybody has that prerogative. Just like everyone in this material world has the prerogative to take shelter of Krishna. Everybody has the prerogative to feel the peace, the prosperity, the happiness, the bliss of Krishna consciousness. Everybody has a prerogative. Some choose and some don't. Those that don't suffer, those that choose are happy. Everybody has the prerogative to be Krishna conscious. Right? That free will is there. So similarly, we all have a choice to deepen our love for Krishna. When we understand that I want to love Krishna more and more, then we are on the path of opening that privilege, and Krishna will respond and reciprocate with our intention. If we're thinking that service is a botheration, if we're thinking hearing about Krishna is a botheration, if we are trying to duck and dive devotional service, if we are thinking, let me do the least of service, if we are thinking to glorify and broadcast the Lord's glories and service is a botheration, let me just do as little as possible and then go and enjoy other materialistic activities, then naturally that prerogative will be closed. So that privilege will be closed. So we need to appreciate that these devotees are in this situation. Why? Because they don't want anything else but Krishna and loving Krishna, serving Krishna. So we want to cultivate that consciousness. We want to cultivate that attachment. We want to cultivate that aspiration in the association of such devotees, so that we can also have this exalted privilege. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, they don't care to know how great is Krishna. Now, knowing the greatness of Krishna is what the Bhagavatam is extolling right up to the 9th canto. But the devotees of Vrindavan, they don't care about Krishna's greatness. Greatness of Krishna for the neophyte is very important so that we can submit ourselves to Krishna with firm faith, conviction, confidence, enthusiasm. And by practicing that surrender, we can then purify our life and revive our dormant love for Krishna to the extent of the residents of Vrindavan, where we don't care of how great Krishna is. Kunti Devi is not inhabitant of Vrindavan. She is inhabitant of Hastinapur, outside Vrindavan. The outside devotees, the devotees who are outside Vrindavan, they are studying the inhabitants of Vrindavan, how great they are. But the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they don't care to how great is Krishna. This is the difference. That is the difference. Our business is simply to love Krishna. Our business is simply to love Krishna. That is our business. Somebody says you're a Hare Krishna devotee. Yes, what's your business? Simply to love Krishna. The more you love Krishna, the more you become perfect. The more you love Krishna, the more you become perfect. This should be our motto, our aspiration, our business, our goal, our focus. It is not that it is necessary to understand Krishna, how he has created. The things are mentioned there. Krishna is explaining himself Bhagavad Gita so much. Don't bother very much to know Krishna. That is not possible. Simply increase your unalloyed love for Krishna. That is perfection of life. Krishna is unlimited, therefore you will never be able to know everything about Krishna. So don't even try. Don't put your brain in front, put your heart. Love Krishna. That is the perfection of human life. And love begins by service. When you say, I love you, you show that love by service. Therefore, Prabhupada never used the word regularly, bhakti, bhakti, love, love. No, devotional service, devotional service, devotional service. So we could take these same statements and say, so our business is simply devotional service to Krishna. The more you engage in devotional service to Krishna, the more you become perfect. We don't want to know Krishna, we want to engage in devotional service. That devotional service is our lifeline. And the more we engage in that devotional service, increasing the quantity, increasing the quality, that is perfection. Similar in relation to the holy name. The more we serve the holy name by chanting the holy name, devotional service, loving service, we become perfect. This is the goal. If someone comes to chastise me, I would like it. Kunti is astonished. Vimohayati, that, this is my astonishment. That how Krishna is afraid of his mother. Everyone is afraid of Krishna, that Krishna. Kunti admits that. Therefore, it is called Leela. Everything. Whatever Krishna does, it is Leela. Leela means he is enjoying that fearful attitude of himself. Everyone praise him as the Supreme Lord. He is adored, he is worshipped. Nobody can be fearful of him. Nobody goes to Krishna. I have come to chastise you, Krishna. That is not possible. Nobody goes to the temple with that attitude, with a stick. Sir, I have come to chastise you. Everyone is praying. So when Krishna thinks that I want to be chastised, at that time, he becomes subordinate to his devotee to be chastised. This is Krishna's Leela. Krishna agrees that nobody comes to chastise me. All my devotees, if some devotees come to chastise me, I would like that. So Krishna accepts such great devotee as his mother and father, and they're able to chastise Krishna. So these people, these Mayavadi people, they are trying to become one with God. But a devotee doesn't like to become one with God, but better than God or higher than God. That is devotee's position. So the residents of Vrindavan, they don't care of Krishna's beauty. They don't care of Krishna's supremacy. When the cowboys, every day Krishna kills a demon, and then the cowboys come home and they tell their parents, Mata, you know what Krishna did today? Krishna killed this demon. And the residents of Vrindavan, they think, how wonderful. Krishna is so wonderful. Nobody thinks Krishna is God. They have the deity of Narayan in their house. They thank Narayan. Oh, my Lord Narayan, thank you for making Krishna such a wonderful person. We just love him to bits. It is this love that is super excellent and it is so sweet that even Krishna becomes attracted by it. So consider this love like a diamond. And when this love is behind the ignorance, the divine ignorance of Krishna's supremacy, it shines greater, with greater sweetness. Krishna in Vrindavan is influenced by divine ignorance of his position because of the love of his devotees that overpower him. And now and then his supremacy is revealed. In Vaikuntha, the supremacy of Krishna, of Narayan, is always there. And now and then there's some intimacy, but his supremacy is always predominant. So in Vrindavan, behind this backdrop of divine ignorance, the diamond-like love and sweetness of Krishna's pastimes is amplified. If you just have the diamond on its own, it's not amplified, but behind a dark background, behind a black background, behind the divine ignorance of Krishna's supremacy, it really shines through. And this is the love and the position that Queen Kunti is extolling and glorifying and appreciating. How wonderful. And this is the opportunity, Krishna conscious opportunity that we have also to enter into these wonderful, divine, supreme pastimes of Krishna. Kantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Mother Shoda ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Brings us to the end of these sets of verses. Next week, we are going to cover Canto 1, Chapter 8, verses 32 to 36, opinions of the Lord's birth. Are there any questions or comments anyone has? Please put that in the chat. Or if you like, you can also unmute. Premprayana says, Hare Krishna, is Mahaprabhu freely distributing Krishna Prem in reciprocation to Vrijbasi's love for him? And if so, how is Krishna spreading Krishna Prem in the form of Srijat Mahaprabhu? How is Krishna spreading Krishna Prem in the form of Srijat Mahaprabhu, glorification of Vrijbasi's love for Krishna? You mentioned this earlier, please elaborate. Okay. I'm not going to go in great detail. I'll give you a synopsis. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, as you surrender to me, I reward you accordingly. If you surrender 50%, I reward you 50%. The residents of Vrindavan, they gave themselves completely to Krishna. Their sacrifice and love is of such an exalted nature that nothing, that even all the inconceivable obstacles that were there never stopped them from surrendering completely their love to Krishna. Consider the residents of the gopis, residents of Vrindavan, the gopis. The gopis had their husbands, they had their children, they had their duty, they had their parents. When Krishna blows his flute, they drop everything. Now, note, you should not drop your responsibilities. we need to be responsible. Okay? I'm answering your question. So they were able to do that. We cannot prematurely do that. They did that without any hesitation. They went to Krishna, and then Krishna chastised them. How can you come in a dark night? You coming, leaving your responsibilities, your children, your family, this is not good, go back home. So because of their love, and ultimately we can even take it further, the love of Radharani, which is the greatest, the most exalted. So Krishna himself, for the materialists who come to him, he can respond. He can, somebody comes, God, please cure my disease. Oh, cure disease. God, please give me money. Okay, Krishna gives money. If I want to go to heaven, oh, Krishna gives you heaven. So in this way, Krishna can respond and reciprocate with the opulences that he has with people in the material world, no problem. Even those who in Vaikuntha, the devotees are worshiping Krishna, give me the form like yours, Vaikuntha form. Great, they get. Krishna, please, I want to stay in the same planet in Vaikuntha. Great, they get. So Krishna can respond. Krishna can reciprocate. He has the opulence. The challenge comes with the gopis of Vrindavan. Krishna cannot give. There's no amount of opulence that Krishna has that can repay the love of the gopis. He'll say, okay, I'm going to give you all the opulence of Vaikuntha. I don't want that. And even not enough. What is greater than? He doesn't have. So they serving Krishna with unalloyed devotion, and Krishna cannot reciprocate with that love, and Krishna becomes frustrated. Radharani is serving Krishna with such impeccable love that Krishna cannot respond. So then Krishna thinks, okay, the only way I can respond to their love is by serving them. So I'm going to take the opportunity to serve Radharani. I'm going to take the opportunity to serve the gopis. And the gopis are attached to Radharani. If I can serve Radharani, I can serve the gopis. So let me go serve Radharani. So he tries in so many ways to disguise himself as a gopi to serve Radharani. He goes and paints Radharani's feet, etc. But he gets caught. She recognizes this is Krishna. Then she says, no, Krishna, you can't serve me. I meant to serve you with the object of love. So I meant to serve you. And she, so in this way, Krishna, he tries his best. Now, because she doesn't allow Krishna to serve her and the residents of Vrindavan as much as he wants, he falls short of that repayment. And therefore, Krishna accepts defeat. And he says to the gopis in the 10th canto that, my dear gopis, I failed. I'm Krishna. I'm the all-powerful, omnipotent, Supreme Personality of Godhead. I failed to reciprocate with your love. Please accept my apology. And please accept your activities as a repayment. It's a very profound statement by Krishna. Please accept your activities as a repayment. Which means Krishna is saying, you are serving me, you are loving me, you are glorifying me. All your service that you're doing and offering to me, accept that as a repayment. So Krishna made that statement. Now, when you can't repay someone by serving, the next option that Krishna opted was, because of their love, I can't serve Radharani. Let me steal her love, then I can repay. So Krishna goes to Srimati Radharani, jumps into her heart, steals the love that she has, comes out of her heart. And when he comes out with that stolen property, he looks and he sees, oh, I'm Lord Chaitanya. I've transformed. I've become Lord Chaitanya. So Krishna became Lord Chaitanya. And we know that in Krishna consciousness, when you give, that means I'm giving my service, I'm giving my love, the more I give in Krishna consciousness, what happens? It doesn't diminish, it increases. So when Krishna took Radharani's love, she didn't lose that love. In fact, it just increased that love because she just served Krishna. So she never lost her love, and in fact, just increased her love for Krishna, and Krishna transformed and became Lord Chaitanya with that love. So now as Lord Chaitanya, he has that love of Radharani, the greatest of all lovers of Krishna. And Krishna also made the statement that your love is so exalted, simply accept your activities as repayment. So Lord Chaitanya is now thinking, what are the activities of the gopis? To glorify Krishna, to serve Krishna. So if I can now do that, glorify Krishna and serve Krishna, it is repayment to the residents of Vrindavan, especially the gopis. And Lord Chaitanya is thinking that if I can distribute this love, I can make others, become my. I can start a network marketing company to get more devotees to do the same thing, and in that way repay the gopis. So therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission to glorify the residents of Vrindavan as the highest exalted love, and to distribute that love, and to get the devotees to also serve Krishna and love Krishna, which is the activities of the residents of Vrindavan, especially the gopis. I can repay. In this way, we are in the mission of serving Lord Chaitanya, to relieve Lord Chaitanya of his anxiety as Krishna, who is completely indebted to repay the love of the residents of Vrindavan. And Prabhupada, as the agent, marketing agent, started an international society where he's recruiting more and more agents to serve Lord Chaitanya's desire, Krishna's desire. We get the result, commission, and Krishna is paying the debt. And because the residents of Vrindavan eternally serve Krishna and their love is increasing, Krishna's debt is increasing. And therefore our service to repay that debt increases. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's debt increases. In this way, there is an eternal mission of Krishna eternally serving the residents of Vrindavan, and residents of Vrija eternally serving Krishna. Eternal network marketing of love and sharing of love. I hope that helped a little. Okay, Shama says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, one often hears that love for Krishna can be attained in a second. Please elaborate. So the love is already there. It needs to be revived. So it can happen in a second, or it can take lifetimes. What determines whether it happens in a second or it happens in a lifetime? It is our desire, the intensity of our desire, the intensity of our focus. And because we've been so conditioned over lifetimes and lifetimes in a certain way, habituated, to change our thinking, to change our habit, in a moment is very difficult. So therefore, it requires cultivation of changing our habit. And that's why it takes time. That is why patience is crucial and important. It can also take 1 second if one gets Kripa Siddhi. Krishna can just wake up and decide, okay, tomorrow, give you love of Krishna. And that's it. The love of Krishna instantly. Don't even need to look at Putna. She got love of Krishna by going to kill Krishna, called Kripa Siddhi. Prabhupada said that's rare, but that can happen. Krishna can just decide, he can give you. Why? Because he's God, he's independent, he can decide. So Prabhupada said, generally, it's like somebody getting honorary degree. You can get an honorary degree, but without going to university. Mandela got an honorary degree without going to university. But the general route is you have to register in university, go through the motion study, get the tests, etc., and pass. So generally, that's the ideal route. But yes, in 1 second, you can get love of Krishna. The pure devotee, Krishna can bestow. Otherwise, it's cultivation. So majority will go through the cultivation. And if while we're cultivating and the mercy comes one day, well, great. But otherwise, we go through the normal route of cultivating Krishna, cultivating our love. And when you talk about cultivation, there's things you do, there's things you don't do. That is what Krishna consciousness is all about, learning what to do and what not. Shamananda Prabhu says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thanks for helping all of us. Points taken. Bhakti, not business with Krishna. Put the heart in front and fuck the brain. Very deep and confidential points revealed to us in these verses and purports. Only by Srila Prabhupada's mercy do we have access to these. We are most privileged. Kindly repeat what makes the devotee forget Krishna as God, and what makes Krishna forget his position as well, so that the pastimes can be enacted. It is love. It is love that overshadows Krishna's supremacy. And this love is impossible to intellectually understand, logically understand, rationally understand, because it's beyond logic, rationality, intelligence, etc. Let me give you an example. So there was an article in the Australian newspaper of a father who went to a zoo. And in the zoo, there was a large pond of water. And in that well, the large pond of water, there was crocodiles. And part of the entertainment was to take children to see crocodiles. So the crocodiles are deep within the well. So there's, they can't come out of the water and bite you. But there was no fence to protect anyone from falling in. So this father was there, and he had his baby, and the baby was sitting on the brick wall of this well. Or the child was sitting there, and child was being entertained. And it so happened that the child fell into the water. When the child fell into the water, what did the father do? Without hesitation, the father jumped into the well to protect the child. Now let's try to rationalize this. Child falls into the well. Okay, if the child falls into the well, what's the chance of the child getting saved? 0. Why? Because the child's going to fall in water and get eaten. And you can't climb up, right? It's not like you can walk up. Okay, If the father jumps into the well, what's the chance that the father will be saved? 0. Okay. If the father jumps in the well, can he save the child? No, it's 0. So then why does the father risk his life to jump into the well and they both die? Because of love. That love that the father has for the child, to protect the child as a parent, I mean to protect my child. That love allows the father to forget that this is a 0 chance of survival. It's the love and the instinct of that love that surfaces, overpowers his discrimination and intelligence. And for him, the only thing that comes to his mind is my child, I'm the father, I need to protect my child. And he jumps to embrace the child and to whatever degree protect the child. So this is how love overpowers, overshadows supremacy of Krishna. And that love one will never understand with intellect. It's really can only be understood when you have that love. I hope I've answered that a little. Amavati Radhika says, sweet, wonderful class. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Does Yashoda Ma Thai Damodar in Goloka Vrindavan, or is this only in Vrindavan here during in Boma Vrindavan? It is only in Boma Vrindavan. That happens. And that is why Boma Vrindavan is also very unique and very special. Semi says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept humble obeisance. Can love be attained by serving Guru and devotees and thus obtain the mercy? Yes. Love of Krishna is obtained by the mercy of Radhavani. The mercy of Radhavani is obtained by the mercy of the acharyas in our life, by the Guru, by the devotees. So when you serve Krishna and anything related to Krishna, that is love. So when we serve Hari, Guru, Vaishnav, Bhagavata Gita, we get that love. So Nectar Devotion, you can read Nectar Devotion. Nectar Devotion is the Bible of love, pure devotional service. Everything in terms of the qualities of pure devotional service, the characteristics of pure devotional service, how to get pure devotional service, all the activities and the divisions of devotional service, the types of devotional service, everything related to devotional service is there in Nectar Devotion. So if you read that, it'll describe clearly. So yes, serving Krishna and anything related to Krishna revives our love for Krishna. And the more we serve them with greater purity, greater intention, then the greater love we get. Mother Les says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thanks for the Krishna Katha. You spoke about the residents of Vrindavan in regards to unalloyed love. Does this apply to the cows, animals like the monkeys? And what about the trees that the gopis are always talking Phernalia in Vrindavan? So in Vrindavan, everything is conscious. My internet. And even the trees, the cows, they also have love. Right? So there's also a love. Obviously, there's dasya, and then servitorship. Then and most of the servitorship is there's very little neutrality. It's predominant service and predominantly then moving to Sakya, then Vatsalya, and then Madhuri. So yes, they do have love, not of the level of the gopis, not of the level of the Mother Yashoda, not of the level of the cowed boys. But for example, the cows also have parental love for Krishna. The calves also have friendship love for Krishna. So like that, they do have different levels and different types of love in Vrindavan. Every aspect, and the jewelry, ornaments, paraphernalia, they also have a love for Krishna in terms of servitorship. So they want to serve Krishna. I'll give an example. When Mother Yashoda is cooking rice in the spiritual world, so the rice, like in our understanding, is inanimate, right? But in the spiritual world, the rice is fully Krishna conscious. Yeah, fully conscious. So when she's cooking rice, she doesn't say in terms of time, okay, it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes. She just asks, Bhakta rice, are you ready? Are you cooked? And Bhakta rice will say, no, Mata, another 5 more minutes, I'll be ready. So this is how she understands that rice is ready, because the rice is getting cooked for the pleasure of Krishna. Inconceivable, but true. Okay, I hope that explained a little about that. Pafana Prabhu. Before even just understanding Krishna's love, it is so sublime to even conceive the extent of love Queen Kuti shows of Krishna. Correct? Yeah. And that's why even before, at least we should know this love is there, and then we should come down to ground level, right? Let's come to reality. Okay, where am I? I know I need to get there. Where am I? Do I want to get there? Do I want to do everything that I will? Do I want to do everything beyond any excuse? With no whatever obstacles that come, I want to go over those obstacles. Am I ready and determined to do whatever it takes to get there? Perfect my life, as Prabhupada is encouraging us. Pure devotional service. Am I ready? Or, it's like I'm going to the swimming pool. Am I ready to dive in and enjoy the swimming, or do I just want to put my toe and just touch the water and say, okay, yeah, it's okay, it's a little cool. What do I want to do? Do I want to dive in this process of Krishna consciousness, or do I just want to play around and just dip my toes in it, right? Or be distracted from it? That is what we want to convince ourselves about. We want to understand there is no other alternative. There is no other solution. This is the only solution. There is no other solution for the fish out of water. It means it has to go back into water. This is the only solution. So that we need to become convinced. And that's another wonderful point of Prabhupada. He's giving us the aspiration, the glory, the beauty, what's there, what we can expect, what's happening. And he's also giving us the reality of what the material world is, what we need to leave, the dangers. And he's also giving us the process for us to perfect that. It's a complete journey. We know what we're leaving, we know what we're going for, and we know how to go there. This is the perfection. Sambandha, our relationship with Krishna, Abhidheya, the process, and Prayojana, the perfection. It's a complete. And Prabhupada said, everything you need for that perfection is in my books. We simply have to take the time, be determined, do what's required to practice and perfect our Krishna consciousness. Gita Baba says, Hare Krishna, if you don't have love for your fellow human beings, can you still get love for Krishna? So if you love your fellow beings minus love for Krishna, that's incomplete. But loving Krishna will automatically allow you to love all your fellow human beings. And not only will loving Krishna allow you to love all your fellow human beings, it will allow you to love all fellow living entities. Birds, bees, insects, reptiles, you name it, every spirit soul. It'll allow you to love every part of Krishna's creation. It'll allow you to love everything. So if you love Krishna, you love everything. If you love anything or everything, you may not love Krishna. and therefore it's a total waste of your love, of your love for them, because it's incomplete. It'll be motivated, it'll be incomplete, it'll not be perfect. Consider Prabhupada. Prabhupada loved Krishna, therefore everybody loved Prabhupada because he loved it. And people generally use this point, service to men is service to God. Prabhupada turned it around. Okay, if service to men is service to God, if A is equal to B, then B is equal to A. I can turn it around. Right? So if service to men is service to God, then our philosophy is easier. Service to God is service to men. It's easier to serve God, which then leads us to serve men, than to serve all men, which equal to service to God, because serving all men is impossible. In the material world, you'll not be able to serve everyone because we are limited. They have their expectations way beyond our capacity. So to serve all men in every way, to fulfill all their desires, is incomplete, is impractical, not possible. But serving Krishna is. And in this age, to serve Krishna is very simple. Lord Chaitanya came as Krishna and said, simply chant the holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Simply by chanting Krishna's names, you can serve Krishna most completely and perfect your life in perfect service to then serve all of humanity. And when you become a pure devotee, your existence will be the greatest service to every person who comes in contact with you, and every part of creation you'll be a blessing. So that's how we should try for that formula. All right, thank you for everyone's feedback and questions. We will continue next week, verses 32 to 36, and continue to bathe in the glorious prayers of Queen Kunti. Kwantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Pramanande, Hari Hari Bo.